Combarera Zimbabwe. Combarera Zimbabwe. Rangarira Zimbabwe. Rangarira Zimbabwe. Rangarira Zimbabwe. Oh, come to Zimbabwe. Oh, come to Zimbabwe. Yes,
good evening, and thank you very much for joining us today on 10 April 2021. And I'm joined by Mr. Whisper Makuni Ganya, CEO of Monumental. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you, Mr. Gambakwe, and thank you for having me.
Fantastic. And the song that we opened with, it's one of the songs that you produced just after the Operation Restore Legacy. How was that process, and can you take us through that?
Right. It was a very important part of history in our country, and I thought it was really important to capture the moment of where we were at the time, and probably, share a little bit of my thoughts on the prospects of what we could do as a country moving forward. So for me, I saw it as an opportunity to restart, rebuild, and have a different trajectory, because everybody knows we were lagging behind as a country in the region. And I think a lot of people had high hopes to say, look, whatever has happened, but here's a new chapter. Here is a new opportunity for us to rebuild and restart something. And that was the mood, and that was the message at the time.
Okay, fantastic. So today I want us to do this very, very quickly.
Yes.
This is going to be less than 10 minutes if I have my way.
Okay.
Because obviously it's a weekend and everyone wants to rest.
Right.
So you are in the diaspora. You are the CEO of Monumental Investments, a group of Zimbabweans that have come together,
right,
to do a lot.
Right.
Can you briefly tell us about Monumental?
Okay, thank you once again. So Monumental really, it's a platform, or it's a vehicle that we are using to pool resources together as Zimbabweans in the diaspora, pool resources and then invest in different areas. One of the key areas we are looking at, or that we want to invest in, is agriculture. One of the areas is mining, manufacturing, and so many other opportunities that we see, across the continent, but also mainly in Zimbabwe. We want to be able to, do something back home, because we know there's a lot of companies that are performing below capacity. And I know the reason why some of those companies are not performing. Some of those companies just lack a little bit of funding, and we would want to partner or buy some of those companies so we can resuscitate the economy and grow the economy and create jobs for our people. Because we don't want a situation where companies then get sold to other people elsewhere. Because I saw not so long ago where the government was talking about privatizing some of the companies we've had over the years, big companies in the telecommunications sector, mining, manufacturing, and so forth. We don't want to lose our identity as Zimbabweans. 20, 30 years from now, we go back to look for jobs from Indian bosses, from Chinese bosses, from whoever. Let's own these companies, because these companies belong to us. We are in the diaspora. I think we have the capacity to be able to, buy these companies and own them ourselves and operate them professionally, because we do have the capacity and the manpower to do that.
Okay, so let's start with the first point you raised on land.
Yes.
And I want to go back to the efforts that you've made. Can you take us through the processes that you've gone through? And I've deliberately put this in the headline, your
Yes.
efforts to approach the Ministry of Lands in Zimbabwe. Can you take us through that whole process?
Okay. So Monumental was launched in 2018. To make sure that we get everybody to participate, we invited the consulate of Zimbabwe in the Western Cape to come and witness the launch. And they were there and they came through. We told them what the objectives of our organization were and what we intend to do for our people, not only in the diaspora, but also back in Zimbabwe. And one of the things that came very strongly with some of our members, including myself, was the fact that most of our people didn't have access to land for agriculture and land for resettlement. And we thought, we needed to approach the minister at the time, the late Minister Honorable Shiri. He was the Minister of Agriculture then. We said, look, we need to speak to him and say, we want land. Because at that time, the government was also talking about, they were calling on people from the diaspora to come back home. They were saying, come back to Zimbabwe, come back to Zimbabwe. Then I said to the minister, I think you guys are saying we must come back to Zimbabwe, which is great. But questions that are coming from the diaspora is, what are we going to come back to? Because people in the diaspora, remember, they left Zimbabwe for a reason. Now, are those issues resolved? What are they coming back to? And I said to him, look, one of the things that's coming out very strongly from our side is that people want to come back, yes, but they want to come back to do something. They want a small piece of land to run a project, whether it's a chicken project, it's a goat project, whatever it is, but people want land. So that was one. The second thing is people also were talking about land for resettlement, because some people left, many years ago, and they didn't have anywhere to stay, etc. They were renting. They don't want to go back into renting again. They want to be able to have their own house when they go back. And we're saying, Minister, what are you doing to attract people in the diaspora in terms of giving us, a platform and say, come through, this is how we can help you for you guys to get land. Because here we are organized. We've already started doing contributions. And this was in 2018. We're already contributing money. And the idea is we want to be able to come and say, we can settle our people here, there, and so on. So our people are settled, they can do the programs and projects they want. That way, that is how we are going to get people in the diaspora to start spending more money in Zimbabwe. Because now there's more reasons why they should spend more money, because there's projects that they're doing there. So Minister Shiri listened to that idea. He was happy with the idea, and we started talking through it. And then, it said that we were never able to do much. We went into lockdowns, and then from there, he passed on.
Okay, let's go to a key point that you've raised.
Yes.
You said people in the diaspora want to go back to Zimbabwe, but they want to go back to something.
Yes.
What do you think are the barriers for someone who's in the diaspora when they want to go to Zimbabwe? And is the Zimbabwe government addressing those barriers?
Right. So the biggest issue really, it's the issue of land. For me, I would say land, and I'll tell you why. Because if you look at our economy at the moment, most people are working for themselves. Okay, it's either someone is running a mining project or someone is running agricultural project that they're busy with, and to do that you need land. Okay, and the government must think about this very strongly. There's a lot of capital, there's a lot of money with us in the diaspora, but if we don't have platforms, what will end up happening is that we end up investing that money in other countries. If you look at what's happening in South Africa right now, not just in South Africa, we have so many of our people that are doing wonders in terms of agriculture in New Zealand, dairy farms in New Zealand, South Africa, horticulture, big projects going on across the globe. It's not because these people don't want to be in Zimbabwe, but most of these people don't have access to land in Zimbabwe. So because of that, they will end up obviously, getting land, somewhere, wherever they are, and do their projects there. But when they create jobs, where do those jobs go? Which economies are they growing? So this is what the government needs to start to think about, to say, if we are saying we want to grow our economy, you have to open up the market and give our people access to natural resources so that people can, create jobs. It's not up to government only to create jobs. It's up to the private sector. It's up to entrepreneurs. And there's a lot of them. Most of our people in the diaspora work for themselves. They're equipped, they're skilled, they know what to do, but they don't have access to land. And this is what the government, needs to address. And this is what I was appealing to Minister Shiri to say, look, if you look at the numbers of how much remittances are going to Zimbabwe, just from 2019 to now, it has jumped from $645 million to about $1 billion. That's remittances only to support our families in Zimbabwe. But if our people had access to land, people in the diaspora, this figure that I'm talking to you now, 1 billion, would triple. Okay, because why? Because now people have more reasons. Now people have to buy. Now people can buy, equipment, animals and things like that. Because there's activities. Right now they're limited. They are not spending their full potential at the moment. They're spending money to help their relatives and so on and so forth. But they're not spending more money in developmental projects because they don't trust what's going on, relatives, etc. People lose money. But if the government run a proper program, and this is what we are trying to do as Monumental, to say, use us as a platform, everybody in the diaspora can come through us. Then we go in and say, this is the land for resettlement. All those people that want to buy a stand come through this platform. Wherever you want to buy a stand, Gweru, Mutare, Bindura, wherever, no problem. Let's use this platform. Those who want land for agriculture purposes, again, let's use this platform. This will cut a lot of issues with dealing with so many different people and so on. And we think that this is a great platform to be able to run a more organized program, and it will come out as a win-win situation, both for the government and for us as the people in the diaspora. Because as much as some people are still here, and people at some point want to go back to Zimbabwe. But the government is missing this point of addressing this issue. Like what I said, I spoke to Minister Shiri at the time, and he said he was going to speak to the Minister of Finance so that we could then organize some meetings, because the Minister of Finance was going to get involved in terms of probably looking at what sort of structures that they can put in place to be able to start working together with us, bringing in a little bit of money and maybe in exchange of land, because I don't think people in the diaspora have a problem when it comes to paying for land and so on and so forth.
Okay. So let's say you're in government.
Yes.
How would you deal with the diaspora? Is the Zimbabwe government understanding the value of the diaspora?
At the present moment, they don't. They miss it. They completely don't understand the importance and the value and what we can do as people in the diaspora. Just to let you know, when you look at countries like Ethiopia, when you look at countries like Israel, these countries were built by people in the diaspora. Our capacity as Zimbabweans in the diaspora, it's so much, and the government has failed to take advantage of that. Because when you just say, come back to Zimbabwe, there's not much there. Come back to Zimbabwe, how? When people want to come back to do things, there must be a proper program of how things are going to work. What is happening with most of our skilled people, when they go into the diaspora, immediately they get a job. The next thing is banks in those countries will give them, big loans for mortgages, big loans and this and that, nice healthcare systems and so on and so forth. Now, that's the kind of comfort people are getting in the diaspora. So why should they just all of a sudden come back to Zimbabwe? Just because a president or someone said, come back to Zimbabwe. Coming back to what? Right now, some people say, no, you must go and farm into your village where you grew up, etc. Why should people, go and farm in the village when there's so many farms that are just lying idle, that are not being farmed? Because most of the people that I know in the diaspora, they want to go back and do commercial farming, not subsistence farming. So you hear someone coming saying, no, go and show us and farm in the village. We grew up doing that. We want to do commercial farming. That's what we want. And the land is there. And the land is not being utilized at the moment to its full potential. But people in the diaspora are there, not being given that opportunity. They have money, they have access to banks, they have access to different instruments of finances. As Monumental, we have already been We've been in talks with one of our banks, and they've assured us to say, listen, at any point when you guys need funding, come to us, let's sit down and let's talk. So we can pull out any project in Zimbabwe because we have, some really good support, system here in the diaspora when it comes to funding. But we're not getting those opportunities. So what happens is we end up buying pieces of land here in South Africa or wherever, in the UK, wherever, and invest. But are these our countries? They are not our countries. Are we creating jobs for our people? We are not. Okay, and this is what we are saying. The government must, listen to what we are saying. Not this thing of saying we are a listening government, but they're not listening to us. So how do we move forward? How do we work together so that we can solve the problems that we face? We want to create jobs. We want to make sure that our people have jobs. We want to make sure that things improve. And we understand it's not up to government alone, but the government must make it easy to work with organized people like ourselves, because we have an organization. It's a company, it's registered, everything is there. So, we want also to see the government reaching out and say, how can we work together so that we can all win?
Okay. So I'm trying to digest what you've said.
Yes.
Very, very clear.
Yes.
And now the question is, how does the government get hold of someone like you? Have you ever gone to Zimbabwe to pitch these ideas to government ministers?
Yes. So the point of contact, the person that I've dealt with in the past was obviously Honorable Minister Shiri. Before he passed on, I've dealt with him on several occasions. I had different calls, with him, and I'd hope that our conversations as I spoke to him, we're probably getting also to the to his team there in Zimbabwe. And I hope one would have hoped that they were taking minutes, they were doing all these things, but I'm not very sure, and I don't know who is now the permanent secretary with the changes that has happened there. But I was talking to Minister Shiri, and my last conversation with him, he had said to me, look, I'm starting to engage the Minister of Finance, and after my engagement with the Minister of Finance, I would want us to have a meeting so we can discuss this. So I'm not so sure how far he went with regards to connecting with the Minister of Finance, with his team. But that's, I wanted to take it one step at a time. I didn't want a situation where I speak to Minister Shiri and then next day I try to call someone else. I thought that was a door that had opened, and he would then, take me around and, so that we could discuss with all the other ministers, maybe all the way to cabinet, to other cabinet ministers. That's what I thought. That was the thinking at the time.
Okay, but you actually never physically went to Zimbabwe to be on the ground, to look at a farm, to talk to the guys in the offices. They've never physically seen you. So
not at this project, because when we started doing that, that's when the lockdown was just starting and so on, and then the lockdown then started. But we have been looking at land in Zimbabwe. Just last month, there's a farm that we found in Gweru that we are interested in purchasing. We are just in a process where we are doing due diligence to find out, if everything is in order before we purchase that farm. But those are some of the things that we're doing. We get, leads, we get potential, land in Zimbabwe for sale, and we negotiate and we talk to owners and so forth. But, what I'm saying is, that's us because we have a heart for Zimbabwe, because we believe we can do something. But what I'm saying is, this could be done by a minister and say, listen, you guys, what do you have? What is it that you want? Let's do it at a much bigger scale, much quicker, with the resources that you have that you're using maybe to actually buy, farms and so on. That could be used for production, to kickstart projects and so forth and create jobs. So that's what, the government could actually come in and play that kind of a role. We're not going to government and say, give us a grant. We're not asking for a grant. We are saying, create an environment where we can come in, all right, then we can create jobs. We can create opportunities for young people. We can get the economy running again. Other people are crying to governments and say, no, we want a grant. We are not saying that. We are saying create an environment that allows us young people to come in with the ideas we have, so we can create jobs, so we can help you as government, so that everybody else can win. Because we know that as government only, they will not be able to deal and produce the jobs and all these kind of things that are going on. They have too much that they're dealing with. We understand what's going on, but the government must also jump when these kind of opportunities come. Because look, understand, we are an investment company. We're not just looking at investing in Zimbabwe. We are doing so because we have a heart for Zimbabwe. But at any point when an opportunity opens up in Zambia or in Madagascar or in Cameroon, there's nothing that will stop us to take our money and go and put it in Cameroon or in Ghana. So because we want to invest, on the African continent, but of course we would want to do that in Zimbabwe and create more opportunities in Zimbabwe. But what I'm saying is, when government ministers hear these kind of things, they should be more excited about saying, you know what, listen, I think that's a great initiative. How do we work together? Can we work together? I would want to see something like that from government if they're serious about turning around the fortunes of our country. And
okay, so
which ministry from the diaspora?
Which ministry would you think is supposed to spearhead this contact?
So for me, because when we approached the government, we wanted land. The first thing was land, because that was coming out very strongly from all our members. Look, our membership is quite diverse. We have people from all different walks of life. Some of them have been working here for the past 10 years, 20 years, different years. And most of these people are telling us that, you know what, look, guys, I want to be able to go back into Zimbabwe and be able to build a house. I want to go back to Zimbabwe and be able to run a small horticulture project where I do tomatoes, lettuce, and cucumbers. Those are the things that they are talking about. Okay, so that is why I approached the Minister of Lands, because I thought Minister of Lands will have access to land. They know what's going on with land and all these things. So we thought they then will be able to take us through the entire process of how we can work together with them as government, using the platform that we have already created in the diaspora, because we can then pull quite a number of people from here in the diaspora that will then come through the same channel, so that government doesn't have to work with so many different faces. We can pull it as one company from across board and have people from different parts of the world and use that channel to address the same needs, because the same problems that people have in South Africa is the same in the UK, same in Australia. We are all Zimbabweans.
Okay. I can see that there's mistrust between the diaspora and the government. People in the diaspora think the government is not interested in working with them. The government thinks people in the diaspora don't want to work with them. But yes, it's not true. It's actually not true.
It's not true at all.
How can you break this mistrust?
Well, I think to break this kind of mistrust, you're spot on. There's this mindset, I think, from the government side that says anyone who is in the diaspora is probably they probably support a different political party, etc., etc. What government needs to what they need to start looking at is to look at our people as Zimbabweans without thinking about politics and all that. All right. When they do that, because understand, it does not really matter what political affiliation people to. When they're farming a project in Zimbabwe that is contributing to our GDP, when they're creating jobs, it's helping our economy. So I think the first and foremost thing that the government can do is to just treat citizens, all Zimbabweans, as citizens, as Zimbabweans. Not to look at political affiliations and so forth. And I think that's where the mistrust sort of come through, because it's perceived, and I've seen it, in the diaspora, when you make comments, people say, no, but you are not, you're not in Zimbabwe. I say, so what is the difference? Does it mean that when you're staying in another country, then you're not patriotic? Is that what happens? Absolutely not true. So I think it's for the government to open up, to listen up, because I think when the president came to power, I remember he came to Pretoria And he was saying the same thing. He was actually saying, look, we want to appeal to you people in the diaspora to come home. All right. And this is why we also said, wonderful, you're creating this platform. We will engage you. And we have done that to try and engage, the people involved, the Minister of Agriculture, and say, look, this is what we have, and this is what we would want to do so that we can work together. It's really just about the government having a different mindset, okay? And say, look, guys, these are Zimbabweans, and they want to invest here, and they want to build businesses here, and they want to create jobs. I know some of my friends that have left not so long ago to go back to Zimbabwe to do their projects there, do their farming projects and so forth, and they're doing soybeans, because most people, don't see themselves staying in the diaspora for the next 20 years. They'll leave whatever they have here as investments, but they want to go back home. And we are saying it's important to listen to what people in the diaspora are saying, because they have access to capital. They can pool a lot of capital, like what I just mentioned now. $1 billion, not too bad. But I know that if each and every person in the diaspora gets a piece of land in Zimbabwe, that amount, it will be 10 times more than that. That's what can come in Zimbabwe from the diaspora.
Okay. Tafazo Ariberito.
Yes.
He's saying, have you tried Zida about this? Have you ever phoned? Let's start with, you've done the Minister of Lands.
Yes.
Have you phoned the Minister of Finance?
I have sent some emails to the Minister of Finance, but I've not gotten any response yet. I have not gotten any response.
Okay. So the Minister of Lands, they let Minister Perence Shiri reply to you. But the Minister of Finance, Mtuli Ngube, he has not responded to you. And when Minister Shiri said he was referring you to Minister of Finance, he still didn't respond to you. Do you think the Minister of Finance is the bottleneck?
Probably. You never know. You never know. Maybe he's too busy. I don't know. But, on 2 occasions when I spoke to Minister Shiri, he was referring the matter to the Minister of Finance. And he said to me, look, I want this to go through the Minister of Finance because, at that point he was raising some really important points. He was saying, look, if you guys have already started building as a company there, we could actually use you guys to buy some of the things we want in the country, and then maybe we can structure some deals. And I was very happy with that, because he was talking about how the water treatment, water treatment. I think they used to buy water treatment, things from here, and they were struggling to do that and so forth because of whatever was happening at the time. And I said to him, look, we don't mind buying you water treatment from South Africa, and then we do some deals where our company or our members benefit, let's say land or whatever the case may be. It was a discussion. And then he said, look, I think with in that regard, we need to involve the Minister of Finance. And I will engage with the Minister of Finance, and then we can then have a sit down and talk around the table about this. So that was my last conversation with him. So I sort of anticipated some kind of communication from the Minister of Finance to say, look, we've had, the idea, how do we meet each other halfway so we can discuss this? Because I was prepared to fly to Zimbabwe so we could sit down. But when that happened, that's when we started getting into lockdowns, etc. And then lockdown became worse. And then, before I knew it, the minister passed on. So I don't know if the Minister of Finance got any information, but I still wrote an email to them and say, look, I had a chat with Minister Shiri, and I'm just doing a follow-up if you got any information so we can continue the conversations so that we can see how best we can address this issue.
Okay, then the next question is, have you contacted Zida? This is the question that I was putting up here.
Zida, what do they do? I've not spoken to Zida.
Okay, so I've gone to the Zida website,
right,
and they link you up with everybody,
okay,
including bodies like the Infrastructure Development Bank, they link you with anything to do with investment in Zimbabwe. So maybe this is another place to go. If you look on the screen now, I've shared their website. It's quite slow though, but I have shared their screen. This is Zida here. There's a Zida Act.
Okay.
There is investment opportunities, services. If you look at their services,
okay,
they've got services here. How to set up incentives and schemes, set up cost guide business partners, events calendar, and so on.
Is this specifically for people in the diaspora, or this is just a platform where someone who wants to invest in Zimbabwe come in and invest? Because they must be also. I want this to be clear that we're not going in as an investor from India. We're going in as Zimbabweans from the diaspora. This is very important to understand that, you know, we don't want to go there as an investor, like an investor from China, but we are going there as local people that are pulling resources together in the diaspora and say, we are back, we want to do this, we want to do these projects, etc. One of the things that people don't want is this back and forth thing. You know, we don't want those things. We don't want to go in and we go round and round and round because we must go to that office, we must do this. We want this program to be treated probably differently, because we are saying we're using this platform to pull resources from all people in the diaspora that want to invest back in Zimbabwe in different aspects. Our interests are obviously different, but it's mining, it's agriculture. And some just want a piece of land to build a house in Gweru, in Chitungwiza, etc., etc. This process must not be difficult. They must be simple. They must be easy. Because if the government is saying, come back, come to Zimbabwe and come and invest in Zimbabwe, if the government is saying that, then there must be a way and there must be a platform to be able to give to us and say, this is how we can do it in a way that doesn't stress people. The reason why we created Monumental is also to make sure that our people can use just one vehicle, so that you're not going to knock on that door, this person, people are busy working. They want to know that, you know what, with 3,000 people, they all just got, you know, 1 acre farm, for example, 1 acre piece of land to do tomatoes. Done. That's what people want. That's what people want. People don't want this back and forth, knocking into that door and back and forth. We don't want that, because that we've seen it in the past. It slows things down. Nothing gets done. People get frustrated. We want things that are quite urgent. And I think the government, you know, needs to also be urgent in its approach, especially when addressing issues like this, because we want to create jobs.
Okay, I'm hearing you, and I want to summarize the problem in my own way.
Yes.
I think the biggest problem we've talked about the mistrust.
Yes.
And now the next thing that you have raised the part of the government that they don't have one contact point where the Zimbabwe diaspora can go and get assistance. But I also want to mention that, in my view, we also lack a database of Zimbabweans in the diaspora and their needs.
Right, you're raising a very good point. But with what we're currently doing, for example, and obviously we are still growing as an organization, we have not been able to reach everyone, but obviously that's the goal, and that's what we're busy with. With the numbers that we have, you know, we talk, we have platforms, we share, things come in, people talk about what they would want to see, the kind of programs that they want to get involved in. You know, we have seen that, and it helps. And we do meetings, you know, at least 2 or 3 times in a month, where we discuss, you know, new ideas, what people would want to get involved in, and so on and so forth. So it's important to create this kind of forums and this kind of platforms. But I agree with you. Probably we're not doing enough, especially as people in the diaspora. But I think it's important to continue the conversation. The more we can do that, I think the better we are going to start attracting probably everyone to come on these kind of platforms. Because again, like what I said, when you look at countries like Israel, like Ethiopia, it's people in the diaspora that have come up together, that have managed to pull their resources together and build their countries. And that's why their countries are thriving and things are going on. So, you know, my message has always been to people in the diaspora to say, there's no more we are not going to be war veterans. That opportunity is already over. What we can do is for us to do something together, work together, and build our country. It doesn't help us to be excited about other people's countries where we say, oh no, this country is nice, we take pictures on the beach, we drive in nice roads, and all these things that we enjoy in other countries. Look, I was at this hospital, it's like this, it's like this. But the bottom line is, it's not your country. Even if you can speak the languages, even if you have the ID in that country, you don't belong there. There's just that thing. The fact that your umbilical cord is buried in Zimbabwe, should be a good reason to remind you that we need to do something in Zimbabwe. Irregardless of what's going on, Zimbabwe remains our home. And that should bring us together to have this spirit of wanting to build things in Zimbabwe. Let's not look at all the government issues, etc. Let's look at what we can do together. When we pull these resources together, we can buy a company. We can buy a struggling company in Zimbabwe, in Net1 or any other company that's struggling, post office, POSB, and make it, a world-class, company like what we see here. Put our own people that are here, that are trained properly in the diaspora with the skills. Let's run that company at a professional level so that we can point and say, this is how you do it,
Okay. So I think on my part, as many people know, I've said I'm going to be in Zimbabwe before the end of next month. So, right. Tafazwa, I hope that when I get there, I'll be able to see the guys at Zida. So yes. If they're watching those guys, I want to see, in fact, I'm going to contact them on Monday.
Okay.
And we want to take it from there. I'll get in touch with you. Okay. And we want to arrange a meeting with the guys at Zida. This is a serious conversation.
It is.
Because many people have not been dealing with this at the right level. Many people have been taught that you can only do things in Zimbabwe when the government has changed. And I think we need to change that narrative, that you can only wait for a government to change, then you start doing things in Zimbabwe.
True. We need to change that. We need to change that and start doing things in Zimbabwe. Because, you see, whilst people are thinking about waiting, the Chinese are not waiting. They're actually coming in and buying companies. They're coming in and buying land. The guys from India are coming in and buying land, buying companies, buying shares in in companies like Lancashire Steel and all these big corporations that have been there over the years. They're buying companies. Why this you're saying, you know what, we have to wait for things to get better. By the time things get better, the whole economy is gone. All right, you go back, now you have a new boss from India. That's what will happen. You pull your long CV from Joburg and say, listen, I was in Joburg for the past 20 years. I worked. You start competing for jobs with young students that are coming from NAST University, competing for them for a job. You've been in the diaspora for the past 20, 30 years. What is that? We don't want that kind of a story. Okay, we want a story where we go back and people look at us and say, this company, these people in the diaspora have managed to resuscitate 10 companies in the diaspora. I mean, in Zimbabwe. This company is now hiring 20 to 30 people. This company is taking 200 people. That company is taking 1,000 people. That's what the people in the diaspora did. That's the kind of legacy we need to create where we are going as people in the diaspora, because that time will come where everybody else will pack their bags and go home. But what are we going to go back to? To look for jobs? Or we're going to go back as employers, employing people, creating jobs, contributing into the economy? We have to start asking those questions to ourselves.
Okay. I think this has been a very, very interesting discussion. Mr. Whisper Makuni Ganya, CEO at Monumental. People can contact you on your website, monumentalinvestments.com, yes. On your phone number, 835367696. And my heart bleeds when I think about Zimbabwe, because unlike most people, I worked in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Between 2001 and 2006, I worked for 5 years.
Right.
And my life was normal. Everything was normal at that time. Right. When I left, I came here to South Africa. And I feel that all the young guys who came out from 2006 going forward, they've had nothing but trouble. They've never achieved anything. And I have a feeling that we, the guys who are here in the diaspora, we can pull up the rest of the guys that are in Zimbabwe. We can do a lot. We have worked in so many different countries. We've got experience in different industries.
Yes.
And I just wanted to mention that in our group that we have now, we have got slightly over 50 people after 2 weeks.
Right.
Everyone wants this to happen. Everyone wants to go to Zimbabwe and make a contribution and make things work.
Right.
And I know there are millions of other Zimbabweans who want this to work.
True.
So that goes to your group. How many people now, or how much have you guys managed to raise? I think let's take it from there.
Look, we have already started investing some of what we have made here locally in South Africa. So we're into land. We're purchasing pieces of land here in the Western Cape where we are for different projects that we want to do. We want to do horticulture. So we have already started doing that. Our group, keeps growing. People can go on our website and see what's going on over there. We looking at buying property, like what I told you, in Zimbabwe, which is land for the kind of projects that we want to do. There's quite a few different things that we want to get involved in. But in terms of growth, it's growing every single day. We've been around now for the past 3 years, like what I said. So it is growing. We do have things being done properly. We have experts handling money and so on and so forth. I just drive the vision of what we want to achieve. And we're not doing this because of anything. We're doing it because we love our country. We love Zimbabwe to bits, and we want to see our people also who are in the diaspora. We know they're contributing a lot already. Every month they send money home, etc. That's okay, but we want these people that are in the diaspora to be part of the economy in Zimbabwe. And the government must not think that people in the diaspora are not important, because they have seen what we're doing. If you speak to the governor of Zimbabwe, he knows how much people in the diaspora are already contributing. Now, what more, when these people are given a piece of land to do a horticulture project, to do a boer goat project? What more if these people now are given a stand? And I don't think people in the diaspora want these things for free. And I'm sure I speak under correction, but most people in the diaspora are comfortable paying something, slightly, something small or slightly small to purchase something. Okay, if it means the land is for sale or something like that, because we know the government at some point they were talking about they were doing the land audit, and we don't know what has happened with that yet. But I'm saying if it's difficult for them, we can bring money. We can say, okay, give us some farms, give us this land, charge us a small fee. We'll pay that, but we give it to our people. Then we're done with that project. We're done with that phase. Then we move to the next level, because we don't want money to be the hindrance of things to happen. People, we can take what we have and say, okay, give us those 3 farms or 5 farms. We subdivide it. We give our people, they run their projects. We pay you so much. Our people are happy to do that. All right. Because free land sometimes can be a challenge. You go back and forth and there's nothing that happens. We don't want that. They must tell us what they want. If they want us to buy the land at a certain fee, etc., let's talk about that. Then we can see if we can do that. But we don't want this issue of delays, because then it delays everybody. Like I told you, my brother, what happens is what I'm seeing here in the diaspora, from the northwest, Kimberley, all these areas to the Western Cape, more and more Zimbabweans are getting land, and they're farming and they're doing projects. And the banks here are smiling. They like that because they know their accounts are growing. People are getting employed locally and so forth. It's not a bad thing. But what I'm saying is, we could do more if we are given an opportunity in Zimbabwe and contribute to our own economy.
Okay. I think the James there is saying the number of members of Monumental is not answered.
The numbers are there that I just put in now. They can contact me on that number that I put in there. I'll always answer that number. I always answer
the membership, the number of members.
The number of members.
Yes.
Oh, how many members are there now?
Correct.
Okay, so at the present moment, last time I checked, I didn't check today because we keep growing, people sign up. It's a big company. We have different people doing different things. I can come back to you and give you an update on what numbers are there, maybe tomorrow or so. But people sign up online and so forth. There's so much going on. There's a lot going on daily. There's a lot of progress going on.
Okay, good. Now let's go to the final question.
Yes.
There is a nice comment here.
Yes.
From James.
Okay.
That the president came here soon after Operation Restore Legacy.
Yes.
He even went to the United States and got CVs. Then everything stopped. What can be done? Is the Ministry of the Diaspora something that should be done in Zimbabwe?
Yeah. James is making a good point. I think it's important to have some kind of I've always said, when you look at the number of Zimbabweans in the diaspora, we are bigger than countries like Swaziland and Lesotho. I mean, just here in South Africa, I know people talk about close to 1 million, but we know we are more than that, just in South Africa. What about countries like the UK, Australia, United States, etc.? There's a lot of people in the diaspora, probably 2.5 million or even more than that. So it's a country online, like what I've always said. I have this page that I say country online. We are a country online. So I think it's important for the government to look at someone who can only focus to address the issues in the diaspora as a ministry. I think it's important because you cannot ignore people that are bringing in $1 billion in your economy. You cannot ignore that. What do you want to see? I mean, and I'm saying that the $1 billion, remember, this is just a fraction of what the potential of that we can actually, put on the table. If we are given the right support system by the government, and the government has shown that, they want to work with us, that figure that you're seeing there, $1 billion, it's nothing. You will see 100 billion coming in, but it all depends on the attitude of government towards people in the diaspora. Okay, how do they look at us? Do we actually get do we get to be heard? That's one of the things. That's why I was saying, programs like Zida, I've never worked with them, but my past experiences trying to do things in Zimbabwe, it's very slow. If we can get someone that we can deal with as a ministry, as a representative of some sort, maybe that would be good. Maybe that will help a lot.
Okay, I think the point is made, and I really enjoy talking to you. Is there anything else that you want to say before we close?
All I just want to say is to all Zimbabweans is that, as much as maybe things may not be great right now in Zimbabwe, etc., but Zimbabwe still remains our home. Whatever happens, in the diaspora, it happens. But at some point, we will all have to go back to Zimbabwe. So for me, it's important that we work together as Zimbabweans. We pull our resources together. I've just, done a very simple, simple calculation I did the other day. There's 250,000 Zimbabweans in the diaspora on a permit called ZSP. Now, those Zimbabweans, on an average, they're paying 3,000 rand as rental per month. If you multiply that 3,000 rand times 3,000 rand times 250,000, it will give you about 750 million rand per month. That's money that's just going down the drain. Now, if you multiply 750 million times 12 months, that will give you about 9 billion rand. So 250,000 Zimbabweans paying 3,000 rand every month as rental, they're spending 9 billion a year. That money goes down the drain. It's not an investment. It's nothing. We are saying as Monumental and as a group that's trying to pool resources here, we can take that chunk and we can invest that chunk either in property in Zimbabwe, either in mining in Zimbabwe, or we can do the projects that we want to do in Zimbabwe. By so doing, we're making our country better. By so doing, we're creating wealth for our generations to come, for our people to, for young ones to come in the future, and so on. So let's work together. This whole thing of trying to pull each other down doesn't work. Let's work together as Zimbabweans. We have the biggest number in this country, in South Africa. So our buying power is really big. We can do better. And we just need to work together and put our resources together. We'll be able to do something significant and change the fortunes of our country and where we are going as a people.
Okay, I really thank you for all the information that you've given us. And on our part, we're going to be doing a lot.
Right.
Portray that image to show the opportunities that are on the ground. As I said, I will not end with just talking here.
Right.
Next month, you're going to be seeing me. I'm going to be broadcasting from Zimbabwe for a while. And we are going to be making sure that every month I'm in Zimbabwe. And we get to talk to those people that you are failing to reach through the phone.
Right.
We want to reach them physically. We want to go to their door today and they tell us come tomorrow, and we come there tomorrow and we see. Because the diaspora is so important and it's been so long. Like I told people that I came here in 2006.
Yes.
And now we're in 2021. It's almost, 15 years of being here. And I'm sure the story is the same for you, or even worse, maybe even here longer.
That's true.
Yeah. So let us keep this conversation going. And the takeaways from this discussion is Monday, we're going to get in touch with Zida. I am going to try to get hold of Zida and see what they are about. If possible, we're going to bring the leadership of Zida here to talk about this. And also next month, I'm going to be there in Zimbabwe. You said yourself you've tried to talk to the Ministry of Information of Finance.
Correct.
So I'm going to try to push to get someone there in the Ministry of Finance.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me and for starting the conversation. I'm very, very excited. And hopefully out of this conversation, we can get some kind of response from government offices so that we can engage, so that we can get things moving, so that everybody will win. We just want to be happy. We just want to contribute to our country and also help people in the diaspora so that they're not left behind with what is going on. They need to be part of what's going on in Zimbabwe. And I think this is very, very important. It's a great opportunity for the government. If they can only realize the potential we have, I think they will be more urgent in terms of trying to address what we're asking for. We're not asking for too much. We just want a platform in an environment that allows us to do business together with them. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Whisper Makuni, Ganya. And thank you to everyone who's been watching from home. We'll be back tomorrow. I've been trying to get hold of Mpo, and I hope that tomorrow I'll finally get hold of it. She's one of the people that you've been talking about who are farming here.
Yes.
It's very strange. There are so many Zimbabweans coming here to farm. I've got guys who came from the UK, from Australia, and local people who are coming here to buy farms. And I find it very strange that we're doing that when we've got our own country right next door.
Exactly. And there's farms that are not being farmed and so on and so forth. It breaks my heart.
Right. Thank you very much, sir. And good night to everyone who's at home.
Okay.